Welcome to day two, the final day of the NWR Virtual Resources Conference, May 2020. We're so happy for you to join us today. We've got a stack of companies presenting out of the small cap sector of the ASX. We have Andromeda Metals up first. Andromeda Metals is an emerging industrials minerals company with a vision of becoming the world's leading supplier of high-grade halloysite kaolin. The company's current focus is the Pushera halloysite kaolin project located on the Eyre Peninsula in South Australia, which hosts the world-class Kerry's Well deposit. Andromeda also recently posted encouraging results from drilling at its 100% owned Mount Hope halloysite kaolin project, which is in South Australia. James Marsh is on the line today. He is Andromeda's managing director. He is an industrial chemist with extensive experience across a wide range of industrials minerals spanning a 25-year period, including senior technical and marketing roles with two global market leaders. He previously worked as business development manager for Active Minerals Australia as part of Active Minerals International Group, a worldwide leader in the production and marketing of kaolin and gel quality adipolgite clay minerals. Over to you, James. We can't wait to hear from you this morning.
Great, thanks, Laura. Good morning and welcome everybody. So Andromeda, we're developing a world-class halloysite kaolin project. And don't worry if anyone doesn't know about halloysite kaolin yet. I'll let you know exactly what it is as we move through the presentation. First of all, I'll give you a quick corporate snapshot. So this, as of 30th of April this year, our market cap was just above 70 million. We had just over 3 million in cash in the bank, zero debt, gave us an enterprise value of around about $70 million and about 1.4 billion shares on issue. We also have a lot of options out there. We're quite a positive position for us there because we have about $8 million worth of options that are well in the money, due to expire November this year. So we have money coming in from that regularly now. Those options have been exercised. That's good to see. If we look across at the chart there, the share price chart, since I joined the company, which is almost 2 years ago now, I've been getting the halloysite kaolin story across to the market. I don't think anyone in the investment market in Australia had ever heard of halloysite before this, so it was a whole new topic and it took a lot of educating. But you see there that we had a very steady and a good share price increase right up through till about September last year. You see that it peaked there where we released our scoping study, which was extremely positive. But as usual with these things, there's a bit of a dip afterwards as people sell off a bit, and we move through the next stage to finish our feasibility studies. We took a bit of a dip there at the onset of the coronavirus, which like everyone did, but pleased to say since then we've been building up steadily, moving towards our next stage. And the next milestone of the company is the pre-feasibility study, which is due out later this month. So moving on, a company overview. So our vision is to become a world-leading producer of halloysite kaolin and also a specialist nanotechnology company. And that nanotechnology is based around the halloysite, which is a nano mineral. So at this point in time, our primary focus is to develop the Pushera project, which is our core asset in South Australia. We want to develop that into a world-class mine for halloysite kaolin. You'll see over on the map there, on the right-hand side, the Kerry's Well resource is where we are basing our mine site. But we also have another deposit down at Mount Hope, which we drilled recently, and there's a historic resource there of over 12 million tons, which we're currently upgrading to a modern resource. And we also have Kondarinji, which is another interesting area, which we are going back and drilling next week, in fact. So, sorry, within the company, there are some other assets. I'll quickly cover those. So we were historically an exploration company for gold and copper. So in the last couple of years, we've joint ventured out 3 of those projects. We've got 2 gold projects, a gold project with Evolution Mining in North Queensland, a joint venture with Environmental Copper Recovery in South Australia, and another one with Cobra Resources, UK listed company, also in South Australia, another gold project. And we've got some gold tenements in the Pilbara. So there are other assets within the company, but I say our primary focus is on the halloysite kaolin Putra project at this point in time. So if we look a bit more closely at the Putra project, so Kerry's Well, which is our resource there, is now proven to be one of the world's largest, most consistent probably, halloysite kaolin resource in the world. It's located conveniently close to infrastructure, so we have at least 3 ports close to us that we can ship from. That's extremely important for industrial mineral because logistics can kill a project quite easily. But we're very lucky to have 3 ports there that can service us. We've recently updated our scoping study, and that actually improved some extremely good numbers, made them even better numbers. I'll go through those shortly. We've also found some high-grade halloysite at Condrinji nearby. That's 4 kilometers away from Kerry's Well, so that's extremely interesting, and that's why we're going back there again next week and do some more drilling. We've also got a significant product at Mount Hope. I mentioned there before, there's a historic 12.2 million ton resource there, so we're just upgrading that. And the drilling we did there recently certainly showed there's certainly a lot of very nice white material there, so that those results will be back shortly. Also looking forward a bit, we have a whole multitude of opportunities in halloysite technology. I'll cover those again shortly. And finally there, we are pursuing high purity alumina ambitions. So we are looking at some options at the moment, and I'll expand on that as well. So just to explain to you who don't know, some of you don't know what halloysite is. It is actually a form of kaolin. Now, kaolinite is a mineral that's quite common in the world, and you'll see down here, the bottom picture on the left there is typical kaolinite. So these are plates, which are very thin plates, about 2 to 5 microns across. In certain conditions, quite rare conditions, they will roll up into form these tubes. So they form nanotubes. It's quite rare for them to do that in these certain environmental conditions, but it's even more rare to find a large amount of that material. And we're very lucky in South Australia, in our tenements in South Australia, we have large amounts of that material. So that's very important because that makes it much higher value. So our Kerry's Well resource, which we have over 20 million tons at the moment of kaolinized granite and about 10 million tons of halloysite rich material. It looks just like this. So this is a picture from that, and it's a hybrid. So this is about 20% halloysite tubes and about 80% of the kaolinite plates. So that's our Kerry's Well resource that we're basing our scoping study on at the moment. Future opportunities. So Condrinji prospect, we have some high halloysite targets there, and we have released results fairly recently where we've managed to engineer the particle size of that material to give a 90% plus halloysite content, which is extremely exciting. Mount Hope, we've just got back to recently, so our first drilling there on the historic resource. We know there's halloysite kaolin there. We just got to prove up that 12.2 million tons, find out how much more there might be there, and also how much high purity halloysite there might be there. And we also have Camel Lake, which is another prospect that we will get to as soon as we can. That one is extremely high purity halloysite, and I'm looking forward to getting there as soon as we can. So if we look at the market for halloysite kaolin, our scoping study has been based at this point in time entirely on ceramics, so I'll focus on that here. It goes into high quality porcelain, so this is very expensive, top quality bone china. Those manufacturers love the halloysite kaolin. The good thing for us is that supplies around the world have diminished, and it's actually very hard to get hold of now in any consistent amounts. So because of that, we very quickly signed up letters of intent, offtake letters of intent for about 1 million tons in total of products in 3 different forms. Now the most valuable form of that is the fully refined form. So the fully refined form of that sells for around about $700 Australian dollars per ton, and that's the value we use in our scoping study. But you can see there that having 1 million tons, and that was originally based mainly around China, but we have expanded that recently, and we are talking to customers throughout the whole world now. There's also a very interesting emerging market here for the halloysite nanotubes. Those technologies are extremely diverse and extremely interesting and high value. And there we have a product value that varies from around about $1,000 a ton for the quite not very pure material, up to $5,000 a ton, Australian dollars a ton for the extremely pure halloysite. So you can see there that that's a very valuable industrial mineral. There's probably nothing much compares with that in the world as far as industrial minerals goes. And a new market that we're also looking at a bit longer term is the HPA, high purity alumina. There for a 4N purity, which is 99.99%, it sells for about $25,000 a ton. So that's also interesting, although a bit longer term. So our operational strategy right now is short term. We're fully focused, as I said, on the Kerry's Well resource, so developing that into an operating mine. First stage will be just taking out raw ore, so direct shipping ore, and sending it overseas for wet refining to give us that product that's worth about $700 per ton. So that stage is very easy. It's a very shallow mine. It's more like quarrying operation, so it's just taken out dry and shipped off in bulk. Medium term, so following about 18 months from the start of operations, then we are planning to put in a wet process at the mine site. This is a fairly new development. It was originally a dry process, but we found out that we can build a very nice state-of-the-art modern plant there that uses very little water. So there's enough water for us to do that. And that will take out about 50% of the sand. So straight away, that will give us huge boost in the bottom line, because we're shipping half the waste is taken out, it's not being shipped, and the refining costs overseas are much lower and a much higher recovery. So that's a great big step forward after 18 months. We're also, as we've moved through into our DFS stage, we're looking at the potential to produce a final product from that plant at site. So that will be the ultimate there. If we can make that a final product at site then, and sell that around the world or into Australia, then that's going to make our bottom line even more attractive. A bit longer term, we're looking at the potential to purify the Condringi material. It looks like there's a lot of material at Condringi, and there's potentially a fair bit of high purity halloysite there. So we're working very hard on that. If we can do that, then we move into the $1,000 to $5,000 a ton bracket for that material. So that's moving forward in a bit longer term. We're also looking close at the high purity alumina feed avenue. We're talking to potential partners about collaboration there, and that is ongoing work. And you see on the right hand side there, we have some very nice containers of HPA that we made very recently. That came out as extremely high grade 4N HPA. So that side of the project is also looking interesting, but as I said, a bit longer term for us. And finally there, we've got the nanotechnology research partnerships. And I'll cover that in more detail in a minute. So if we go over the scoping study update that we just put out, we kept that at an initial mine life of 15 years at 500,000 tons a year of ore. That was to keep things consistent. We believe that the PFS is coming out next, and that will be extended because the resource is actually much bigger than that. Early shallow cut mining for DSO treatment, wet processing on site after about 18 months, so into the second year. That gave us a life of mine projected cash flow of just over $1 billion. Life of mine revenue, about $2.38 billion. So a very good number there for the NPV, about 544 million. So that's very impressive for a mining project anywhere in the world, with an internal rate of return of 175%. So some very robust figures there. Capital is very low. Capital cost pre-production is about 13 million, and the maximum cash requirement of a total of about 29 million prior to the operation. Break-even payback 15 months from start, and construction of the wet plant and funding of that will be all from the cash flow, which makes the project even more attractive. So if we quickly go through the halloysite nanotube potential, won't spend too much time on this, but you'll see from that list there's a huge amount of very interesting, very high value projects and applications that we can look at for these materials. We have got grants for work in a number of areas. Hydrogen storage and transport, that research is well underway. We've already got some very good results in batteries, lithium-ion batteries. So we just applied for more funding for that. Water purification, again, good results so far, and we've applied for more funding. And the same goes for the carbon dioxide capture and conversion of fuels. Another area we've just applied for, halloysite has been shown to be interesting for medical applications, antibacterial, and even antiviral applications. So we've just applied for another grant for that work. Very topical in the current climate at the moment with the viruses around. Construction, we've already got some very good results in concrete, which is interesting. It's a new area we looked into, and I'm pushing that forward as quickly as I can because that could be a whole new area for us. And there's testing currently in progress. Also applied for a grant for agriculture, another huge area. In polymers and coatings, it's already used in those areas, but the customers are waiting because at the moment, no one can supply that material to them. And also remediation, we've got testing work ongoing now in Australia and in USA. So a whole lot of new exciting areas there that we're working very hard on. So what's next? So next milestone of the company will be the pre-feasibility study. That's due to be released by the end of this month. That should improve our numbers yet again and give us a lot more confidence on the way we're going. So once that's done, we'll be launching straight into the mining lease approvals starting in June. We have done a lot of base work for that already. So things like environmentals, noise, dust has been ongoing for a while now. So that will start in earnest in June. We'll also be progressing the customer offtake agreements through 2020. That's expanding from China throughout other countries in the world. We've got testing going on. We've got trials going on at the moment in China, which is restarted, and also in Japan is restarted, and testing in Europe as well. We'll also be upgrading the Mount Hope resource during this year. Hopefully get a JORC 2012 resource there, which will be very interesting, 100% owned by us. We're also going to define a halloysite kaolin resource at Kondarinji. That looks like it could be very significant. And so drilling is going on next week to finish that work off there. We're also going to progress the halloysite nanotechnology work. That's ongoing. So those grant applications are in progress, and we've got 2 or 3 projects actually moving forward at this moment. We'll also work hard on securing an HPA collaboration alliance with a suitable partner, so we can leverage off our extremely pure feed material for that application. We also want to obtain a high purity halloysite resource. That's throughout this year and into next year. If we can do that and get a significant resource of high purity halloysite, we will be the only company in the world that's got that. So that'll be another major step forward for us. And then we're planning to get into operations at Kerry as well by late 2021. So not too far away now. And once that starts, then things will ramp up significantly. And then feasibility studies at Kondarinji and Mount Hope prospects. So we'll work on those, and we'll try and build them into our plans and see what we can do with those 2 materials. So in summary, Andromeda's got one of the world's largest resources of halloysite kaolin, which, as you know, is a valuable material in its own right. It's certainly a very interesting material there, and it's something that needs to be commercialized, and it will give us a tremendous opportunity to Australia and South Australia as well. It's a very high value material as far as industrial minerals go. Global demand is increasing and production is decreasing. So that's good for us, and people are chasing us for this material, which is a very good position to be in. We've got a low capex project, as you saw. It doesn't need much money to get going, and also a very short timeline. So that's why it's got a lot of interest in the investment market. We've got a very simple business model, and the mining is very low impact. You saw a picture back there of a mine. It's just like a quarry, really. So it's very low impact. Even when the process plant's running, there's no tailings dam, there's no nasty chemicals. So it means that the whole approval process should be much more simple for us. So Andromeda is now sitting as a world positioned to become the world's leading producer of this mineral. And also we have a huge blue sky potential. All those new halloysite applications, nanotube technologies, and in HPA. And thank you very much, and happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, James. The questions have been rolling in as you've been speaking. First up, I will ask you, if you could give us an idea of the value of grant applications that have been applied for, which you did list in your what's next slide about the grants.
Yeah, so the main grant we've applied for is a CRCP grant there, which is $3 million match funded. So that'll give us a total of $6 million. So that is a combination of us with Minotaur, or also including the application. We also have a major coal company and a major water company who have agreed to commit funds to that project from the customer side. So that's very encouraging. That application is in now, and we will be hearing a result in June. We're told that a result will come out in June. That's $3 million. Plus we put in applications, I mentioned there, for medical applications and agricultural. So those two there, we're looking at $200,000 to $300,000 per year of funding into those applications. And we've also got the hydrogen storage and transport one that we've been granted now. That's ongoing. That's worth a total of $100,000 a year for the hydrogen work.
Mm-hmm. And is that June? Will you be hearing from that about that in early June, mid-June, late June? Do you have any detail around that? Like,
no, it's a bit hard to say. It's one of those things that they said June, but there's no firm date on that, and it is a bit rubbery sometimes. So they said you'll hear in June, but we can't say exactly when. The good news is that our grant application there is looking at commercializing a very rare Australian mineral for potentially Australian markets as well, and we have the chance of capturing all that intellectual property for those applications. So Australia as a whole has a great opportunity there to capture all that intellectual property, plus get a market, and then create lots of downstream industries and businesses based on that IP.
Mm-hmm. And James, for the scoping study, the capital cost is $13 million. How do you intend to fund this?
So at the moment we have, as I mentioned, we have about $3 million in the bank, about $8 million coming in. So we're sitting at about $12 million at the moment, which will take us through to the completion of our mining approvals. At that point, we will need some more money. So we're in a good position where we don't need to rush on that. So we're looking at all the opportunities we have there. We do have countless offers coming in for funding. So probably every week I turn away 2 or 3 offers, or so I just put them on hold for the moment because we just don't need that right now. So we have got probably 20 or 30 offers on the table at the moment for that funding. But we will sit down as a board a bit closer to when we need that money and just make sure we get the best option for the shareholders.
Mm-hmm. So I suppose it's not the right time to ask whether you've looked at a capital raising to fast track long-term HPA cash flows.
Now, HPA is something I've been involved with for, well, almost 30 years as an industrial chemist. So as a young bloke in a white lab coat. So I know a lot about that business. It has increased in interest dramatically in recent times, but it's still a new industry and a new process. So compared to our halloysite kaolin project, the risk is exponentially higher. Now, it's very large capex required, and also it's a whole new process. So what we're doing first is we're starting on a very low risk project where there's a very big market there for us. We've got the customers waiting. It's very easy, low capex. But we use that money we get from that and also our experience then to progress the HPA. And if we find the right partner, we'll make sure that we choose the right tactics where we can minimize any risk that's involved.
Mm-hmm. I suppose we're hopping around a little bit here, but on Kerry's well, which is halloysite kaolin, the operation there, someone has pointed out, seems pretty simple, but is there any way to fast track this into production rather than waiting for late 2021 before commencing operations there?
If we were a Chinese company, then yes, we could. We just go and dig a hole and off we go. Unfortunately, Australia, well, it's a good thing in some ways because Australia has got a very clearly defined process to get that mining approval. There's no way to shortcut that. You have to go through it, and you have to go through it very methodically and make sure that all the stakeholders are happy with what's happening and it's done properly and professionally. So we will do that. The good news is that with the governments now more incentivized to get Australia industry back up and going again, so they're actually helping us a lot, and they'll be fast tracking things as much as possible regarding the approval process. So that's going very nicely and very smoothly, and I think the government's going to help us a lot there, and we'll certainly get that done as quickly as we possibly can. But it's down to that step, which is in the government's hand.
Mm-hmm. And just quickly, James, maybe this will speak to your mineral and geology credentials. Someone wants to know, they want to know, it's a technical question. How do you separate halloysite from kaolinite?
Yeah, it's not easy to do. It can be done. It can be done like most things. If you try hard enough and you spend enough money, you can do it. So you can do it by centrifuging and also some selective flocculation and froth rotation techniques and so on. So use the right chemicals and the right engineering, you can do it. The trick is to do it at an environmental, an economical way of doing it. So we found that we can do it with Condringi by just doing a 2 micron cut. So cut the distribution at a certain particle size and we capture most of the halloysite. That doesn't work for all mixtures. It didn't work for Kerry as well, particularly well, but it works very well for Condringi. So for us, we're looking at a cost-effective way of just engineering the particle size so we capture all of the halloysite and get rid of most of the kaolinite.
Well, thanks for joining us today, James. We're out of time, but thanks for joining us and presenting for Andromeda.
Thanks very much.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with another HPA company up next.